Five in the Dugout is sponsored by Woods Basement Systems.
So it's a pleasure to get together with Mike Claiborne. And Mike, I guess the real positive takeaway from today is the guy we really liked last year in just 3 or 4 starts, Michael McGreevy. What are you seeing there?
Well, Michael McGreevy's moving up the ladder of interest. There's no question about that. You mentioned what he did last year, and he's picked up where he left off. And quite frankly, when you think about him, I think he's a guy that's going to certainly warrant a spot in the rotation. Now, at the expense of who, I think that's still be determined. But when you look at what he's been able to do, and this is a guy you've invested in, you've given him time to grow and develop, and he hasn't disappointed anyone. And one of the things we have to take into account, it's 2 innings. It's the first 2 innings of spring. I think when you get to 4, perhaps 5 innings, you have a better idea of what you have. But I thought the way he commanded the mound, much like we talked about with Quinn Matthews yesterday, is something I think we're all looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, what about his stuff when he is successful? How's he doing it?
He's throwing a sinker. He's pretty good. He's got a slider he can back it up with, and he's a ground ball guy. He's a ground ball machine, much like Andre Palante. And in that situation, I think it really makes Ollie have to think about what that lineup's going to look like on your infield and certainly in the outfield as far as ground ball pitchers and having outfielders that can get to certain balls as well as infielders who will be able to plug the gaps. So when you look at how this rotation is going to be set up, it may be tailored to who you're going to have as far as a ground ball pitcher, a swing and miss pitcher, or maybe a guy who keeps the ball in the air. And with that, your defense is going to certainly change a little bit.
Yeah, I know it's vogue for many people to be down on the Cardinals, but to be optimistic here for a moment, in terms of starting pitchers under 26 and under, you have Palante, you have McGreevy, you have Quinn Matthews. I mean, you got a nice young staff to build around.
There's certainly no doubt about the fact that the look on the future is a positive one. And even though he got beat up today, he was tattooed a little bit. Tink Hintz had a tough inning. He's a guy that's going to be in that mix also. And there's some other younger pitchers in the organization that I think they're going to give a longer look to. And once they get through that first year of professional spring training, once they get through that, it'll be a little bit different for them. And that's why you're going to see so many of these young guys early to see what they have, to see whether they need to come back and look at them again, and to see where they're going to end up starting off the season in the minor leagues.
Yeah, I want to get to Hintz. He had a rough third of an inning, but in terms of just pure stuff, he may be the most gifted of all the youngsters, right?
He just needs to pitch. He just needs innings under his belt. He's got a wipeout slider. He can throw a sinker that can really make people miss, and he can throw mid-90s when he needs to. He's still trying to figure out location, and the only way he's going to get better, he just has to pitch more. He's had some injuries that have shut him down in the last couple of years, but this year he's bigger. He certainly appears to be stronger, and I think he's certainly matured to that level now where he's no longer a kid. He's a full-grown man.
When you hear the Cardinals offense has not scored a run in 12 innings, you think what?
I think I wait for them to score in April. One of the things we've seen this before, Frank, where this team has swung the bat in certain occasions and it really looked impressive. One year they had one of the best records in spring training, and I think that was also the year they lost over 90 games. So you have to take it with a grain of salt, especially the first couple of weeks of spring training, where hitters who've lived in the cage in the offseason have seldom seen live pitching, especially live pitching with movement. That's something they're trying to get acclimated to. I think what we ought to do is come back and revisit this in 2 weeks where we'll have a better idea of who's doing what and who's made the adjustments.